Be making a video on a tote bag that I'm making for a customer of mine, so I decided to just film it to show you guys a bit of detailed process of how to make such a tote bag. We're needing the following materials. We are going to be needing this Ankara print. This is what we are going to be using for the bag. We are going to be needing this leather. Once I usually use for stabilizing it. For this panel, I use this leather material. This one is less thick. I'm going to be using just normal leather material. I use leather for stabilizing my bags. You can also use fiber, you can use Marco, depending on what you want to work with. So people also use carry board, people use chipboards. There are various stabilizers and interfacing you can use. This one is a very light one. So this thick one is the one I used for this part. And this light one, use this one. The next thing we are going to be talking about is the measurement of this panel. We are going to need two separate panels. So this is going to be the first one. Stabilize it on this leather, and this one I stabilize it on this kind of leather. For this one, it measures 30.5 inches by 9.5 inches. 30.5 inches in width, and in length it measures 9.5 inches. And for this part, guys, the width of this is going to be the same width this, which is 13.5 by 4 for the asset panel. So this is for the asset panel, the one I'm going to be gumming my jean material on. Okay, so I just apply gum. I'm using this jean, dark jean, for this asset panel. Take it and place it. We are not folding, so I'm just going to be trimming this out. I'm not going to leave any excess fabric. So I'll just cut because we are not going to be folding. I'm going to be joining it like this. The external of this asset panel is going to be joined to this. I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. You just measure out 1/2 inch because that's the seam allowance I'm using. I'm going to be sewing the asset panel, this, which are wrapped with jean material, to the main panel, which is Ankara. So remember, I marked out 1/2 inch, which I'm going to be using. I'm going to be laying them with the external, the right side of this faced to the right side of the Ankara main panel. So I'm just going to clip them together. I'm going to be sewing on this marked area, just back stitch. The outside panels were aligned to the main panel. I just clip them. Back stitch. Yeah. So I'm going to top stitch on this to make it lay flat and to make it look professional, just like I did here. So while top stitching, I want to ensure that this matching foot, the one on the right hand side, is on the edge of the asset panel. That's what I'm going to use as a guide. I'll back stitch here, and I'll just continue top stitching. I've top stitched just like this. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to fix the handle holder on it. This part is the bottom panel. On the bottom panel, I'm going to be putting bottom feet, and we are going to need 4 bottom feet. I'm just going to measure out where the bottom feet is going to be positioned. So in this case, I'm going to be taking 2.5 inches by 1.5 inch for the positioning of the bottom feet. Half by 1.5. Okay. That's where the bottom feet is going to be. I'll mark. I'll do the same here by 1.5 inch. I'll take my seam ripper. I'll poke some holes on it. I'll turn. I'm going to open. I'll poke holes in the remaining marks. Okay. what I did, I just apply a bit of gum. So I'll fix the buttons down. I'm just going to gum some piece of leather on it, which are going to act as stabilizers or interfacing to make it a bit hard. Also apply at the back. I'm making use of the back. These are the stabilizers I've cut out, which are half an inch smaller than the main bottom panel. Apply gum. I'll check to see there is no gum, so it doesn't get my project stained. Just pressed. So I want to put another layer here. I've marked out ½ inch. This way I'm going to be sewing on. Okay, stabilized it. I'm going to be fitting the bottom to the panels. So I'm going to fold the main panel into two and cut a notch because we are going to be sewing the bottom panel into it. I'll do the same here on the other panel into two. I'll cut notch. Okay, so I'll fold this into two. You can make a mark. If you don't want it to get wrinkled, you can just use your tape rule to get the half mark. So to sew it together, you take the right side of your bottom panel, you lay it on the right side of the main panel, ensuring that the notched part on the bottom panel on the notched part of the main panel. This is to just make them align. So I'll plate them. So sew from this point to this point on this marked part. Okay, so once we've done that, we're going to top stitch, then come back and do the same thing here, sewing this one to the other side of the bottom panel. I've sewn the first panel to bottom panel. I've top stitched it. It's quite soft. Customer woes, it says he doesn't want a hard bag, so I'm just going to sew this other panel to it. Remember, we've cut a notch here and we've also cut a notch on this part too. So I will lay them side by side with the right side facing the right side and the notch on the notched side like this, and I'm going to clip them. Remember, we made a mark, ½ inch mark here, so this is the mark I'm going to be sewing on. So I'm going to sew from this point down to this point, each first. Thread off, folding it inward from the back. And back stitch. Next is to fix the bag handle. I took 1 inch for the width and I took 3 inches for the length. The reason I took 1 inch is because the D-ring we are going to be using is 1 inch. So we are needing 4 D-rings. Since we are making 4 ado, 1, 2, 3, 4. Done 1 already. So I'm just going to do the 3. Stitching material for the handle holder. I'm just going to take my D-rings and put this into this. We need 4 of them. Remaining 1. This is the last one. So we have them from 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where you are going to place your handle holders. You are going to make sure this place to this place is 4 inches. Here to here is 1 inch. Okay. So let's confirm. You can see it's 4 inches, and this point to this point is 1 inch. Okay, so you just do the same all around. I'm going to be sewing the D-ring holder on the main panels. This is the 3-inch mark and this is the 1 inch. I crossed it. The mark here will guide me. So it's just going to act as a guide. Find out where it's going to end at this part of the handle holder. So I'll just mark out 1 inch, which is going to guide us on where it's going to end the sewing. So it's going to be around here. Don't worry about this chalk mark. I'm going to clean it up. So I'll turn. So I'll stop at that mark, then I'll turn, and I'll continue. So the mark there is acting as a guide. Using my hand to sew, I'm not trying to be fast. So I'll put my needle down. This is the handle of the bag. Measurements for this handle is 19.5 inches. The width is 4 because we are going to be folding it into 4. If I fold it without a stabilizer, it will be thick. I really want the handle to be a bit thick. I don't want it to be very soft. So I added a stabilizer, which is a very soft leather. This is the leather I used. I cut out 1.5 inches for the leather. Okay, and I attach it on the middle of the handle. I'll fold this to the middle, then I'll fold this other one to the middle, then I'll fold again. Okay, so I'll fold it into 4. I'm going to be folding like this. Before I fold, I'll just apply gum on this area of the handle. I'll let it dry a bit, then I'll fold. Then next I'm going to do, I'm going to be folding the edges to the middle. I'll fold to the middle, and I'll fold again. Okay, then I'm going to be clipping them like this. Then I'm going to clip. And clip. Okay, so I'm going to sew from this to this on one side, then I'll sew the second side. See? So I'll remove the clips as I sew on. Backstage here, because I always want my work to be very secured. And I'm done. Continue sewing down. Sew the first handle. I'm just going to sew the second handle now. I've sewed this one. Just going to put it inside, keep it in place. Remember the measurement we took is 4 inches because we folded it into 4. It's coming up now. Bend this one inward. For the handle, I will show a backstitch severally. Second one. Make sure that this jean material, this part here, is aligned with the second one on the main panel. You first of all align them first before any other thing. Okay, so once you've clipped, I'm going to sew from this point here down to this point. So this, I'm just going to do the same thing here. First of all, make sure that this jean part, this asset panel, is aligned. Very, very important. So I'll clip them in place, and I'll start clipping from the top. I'll line them, then I'll clip. So I'm just going to backstitch first. So I'll trim it so it can lay flat. first of all pin them in place first. When we first started, we made marks there, so I'm going to be sewing on that mark. So I'll back stitch first. Wait. I'm just going to turn it inside out. And please watch out for how to make this beautiful Ankara beds. Guys, thanks for watching. I could not complete this video because the client needed a bag urgently, so we did not fix the lining. But for subsequent videos, I'm going to be making sure I complete every of these videos.